The bass shook the velvet walls of the downtown nightclub, and Imani Brooks pushed through the crowd, fire blazing in her eyes. Damian Carter smirked at the bar, sipping dark liquor, his gaze locked on her like prey. He leaned close to Marcus Hale, arrogance dripping from his voice as he said, "I could marry her just to prove I can." Imani snapped, "You couldn't handle a woman like me." The room stilled as if the air itself had cracked. Damian's grin widened, taunting, "Try me, sweetheart. I'll put a ring on that finger before you even know it." She felt her pride ignite, her voice shaking but strong. "You want a bet? Then gamble your fortune, because my soul isn't cheap." Cheers and gasps rippled through the crowd as the challenge etched itself in stone. Damian lifted his glass like a toast, whispering low enough for her ears alone. Then it settled, a marriage made in fire. Later that night, Damian leaned back in the velvet booth, Marcus still beside him. He let out a sharp laugh, ego dripping from every word. "Did you see her eyes? Fire and ice, both burning me at once." Marcus smirked. "You don't know what you've stepped into." Damian twirled the ring he pulled from his pocket, a diamond catching the dim light. "She thinks she's untouchable. I'll prove she's mine." His voice carried arrogance, but hid a shadow of fear he refused to admit. Marcus warned, "Imani Brooks isn't a prize. She's a storm, and storms don't bow." Damian grinned, though his chest felt heavy, and replied, "Storms are made to be conquered." Outside, the humid night wrapped around Imani as she stormed down the street, heels clicking against the pavement. Her fury boiled over as she muttered, "He thinks he can own me." She stopped beneath a flickering street lamp, gripping her purse strap like a weapon. Memories of broken promises and men who underestimated her flashed like lightning. She whispered to herself, "No one tames me. Not a man, not money, not him." Her chest rose and fell rapidly, her strength shielding the tremble beneath. Somewhere deep down, a spark of curiosity stirred against her will. Tasha Green sat cross-legged on her couch, phone pressed to her ear as Imani's voice spilled raw frustration. Tasha interrupted, "Girl, I told you that man is poison." Imani paced her apartment, biting her lip, anger warring with the sting of attraction. "He dared me, Tasha. He dared me like I was a game." Tasha's laugh was sharp, but her tone softened. "You've got scars, Imani. Don't let him dig deeper. Don't let pride make you foolish." Imani exhaled shakily, staring out her window. "I won't lose myself," she whispered. At the rooftop bar across town, Marcus leaned against the railing, city lights shimmering below. He sipped his drink and smirked at Damian. "You're walking into a firestorm, brother." Damian's jaw tightened, pride cutting through doubt. "She challenged me. I don't back down." Marcus tilted his glass toward him. "Be careful. That woman carries the kind of scars that don't heal easy." Damian ignored the warning, staring at the skyline. His words were steady, but hollow. "Then let her scars meet mine." Imani sat on the edge of her childhood bed, the faded quilt beneath her hands heavy with memories. Her gaze swept over cracked photo frames lined across the dresser. The faces inside were ghosts of a past that still burned. She whispered, "Mama fought too hard for me to let a man break me." Tears welled, but never fell. Pride was her armor, pain her hidden companion. She recalled long nights hearing her mother cry over unpaid bills, her father's absence etched like scars. "I won't be anyone's burden," she told herself firmly. The reflection in the cracked mirror showed a woman who had survived storms yet feared the quiet ache of being alone. Her chest tightened as the echo of Damian's words returned, "Try me, sweetheart." Damian stood at the graveyard, rain clouds gathering over polished marble stones. His father's grave gleamed beneath the gray sky. He adjusted his tailored black coat and whispered, "You said pride builds empires, but pride killed you." His fingers traced the cold stone, a chill sinking into his bones. The world knew him as the unshakable millionaire, but here he was only a boy who had chased approval from a man now gone. He clenched his jaw, muttering, "I'll prove I'm more than just your shadow." His heart hammered, not from love but fear. Fear of being seen as weak, of being forgotten. Damian exhaled, eyes burning. I can't lose. Not to her, not to anyone. Tasha's apartment smelled of coffee as she listened intently, eyes fixed on Imani pacing the living room. Imani's voice cracked. Every man I've trusted turned love into a weapon. I won't let him win. Tasha leaned forward, her gaze unflinching. But you can't pretend you don't feel something. That man rattles you. Imani bit her lip, torn between pride and the dangerous pull in her chest. He's a storm, Tasha, and I've been through too many hurricanes. Tasha replied, storms don't scare you. You are one. Silence filled the room as Imani finally sank onto the couch, her strength unraveling in the presence of her only anchor. In a jewelry boutique glowing with chandeliers, Damian stood before a glass case. A massive diamond ring sparkled beneath the lights, cold and flawless. He lifted it with careful hands, the weight pressing against him like judgment. She'll know her place, he murmured, though doubt lingered in his eyes. The jeweler smiled politely, unaware of the storm behind Damian's calm exterior. He told himself it wasn't guilt he felt. It was strategy. Money buys loyalty. Money silences doubt. Yet when he looked into the diamond's shimmer, all he saw was Imani's defiant eyes staring back. A chill slithered through his spine, but pride pushed the fear away. Marcus leaned against his sleek car, cigarette smoke curling into the night sky. Damian approached, ring box clutched in his hand. Marcus exhaled slowly, smirk tugging at his lips. You're gambling with fire, Damian. She'll eat your pride alive. Damian's jaw tightened, voice steady. Imani thinks she can't be tamed. I'll prove her wrong. Marcus shook his head, eyes gleaming with amusement. You don't conquer women like her. You either worship them or burn. Damian stepped closer, chest tight, anger brimming. Then I'll burn, but I won't lose. The night air grew heavier, as if warning them both of the storm ahead. The boutique fitting room brimmed with silk and lace, yet Imani felt caged as the attendant zipped the ivory gown up her back. She caught her reflection and scoffed. This isn't me. Her fingers brushed the fabric, soft as betrayal, and rage flared beneath the beauty. Tasha leaned against the wall, arms folded, eyes heavy with concern. You look stunning, but I know that face. You'd rather set it on fire than wear it. Imani spun, her curls bouncing with fury. He thinks this dress will make me his possession. He'll choke on his pride before I bend. Her voice wavered, but her eyes blazed, the silk failing to smother the storm she carried within. Damian paused at the doorway, his breath catching at the sight of Imani in the gown. The world slowed, the hum of voices fading as her defiance shimmered brighter than silk. His lips curved into a slow smile. I didn't know fire could wear white. Imani's jaw tightened as her eyes cut to his reflection in the mirror. Don't flatter yourself. This isn't for you. He stepped closer, the space between them electric, his tone calm but laced with command. It's all for me, and you know it. Her chest rose sharply, but her words lashed back. You'll never own me. Their eyes locked, the gown now less a garment than a battlefield. Later that evening, Tasha intercepted Damian outside the boutique, her arms crossed tight across her chest. Her eyes narrowed as she spat. You're playing with fire, Damian. She's not a prize to show off. He chuckled, adjusting his cufflinks. Funny. She's already wearing my name. Tasha's voice cracked with anger. You don't deserve her. Damian leaned closer, his expression cold but controlled. Maybe not, but she deserves to know someone who doesn't fear her fire. For a moment, Tasha faltered, reading the shadows in his eyes. Then her jaw hardened, voice cutting sharp. If you break her, I'll be the one to end you. Marcus appeared outside Imani's apartment, leaning casually against his sleek car as she stepped from a cab. His grin was sharp, words dripping poison. You really think Carter's playing fair? Imani froze, clutching her purse tighter. What do you know? Marcus's eyes gleamed with mischief. Enough to say men like him don't marry without reasons darker than silk. She swallowed hard, but her chin lifted. You want me to doubt him, but I don't trust you either. Marcus smirked, exhaling smoke into the night. Maybe you should trust yourself then, your gut screaming louder than I ever could. The warning lingered like a curse in the humid air. The wedding hall glittered with golden light, strings swelling as guests hushed. Imani walked down the aisle, her steps steady but heart trembling. Every eye burned into her, yet her gaze found Damian at the altar, his expression unreadable. He extended his hand, pride wrapped in charm. She hesitated, then placed her hand in his, the weight of vows crashing down. His voice was smooth as velvet when he said, I vow to claim what's already mine. Imani's lips curved into a defiant smirk as she answered, Then be ready, Damian. Storms don't break easy. Gasps rippled through the crowd, vows turning into sparks of war disguised as love. Damian lingered near the balcony of the Grand Hotel ballroom, the afterglow of the wedding still buzzing around him. His glass hovered at his lips when he caught Marcus's voice through the cracked door of a side lounge. He thinks this marriage is a game, a bet sealed in whiskey and pride. Damian froze, the words slicing through him like steel. Another voice, hushed, answered, If she finds out, it's over. His knuckles whitened around the glass as rage swirled with dread. He knew Marcus meant for him to hear. A trap laid bare. Damian whispered under his breath, Damn you, Marcus. Yet deep down he felt the truth pressing in. The lie he built would soon suffocate them both. Imani entered their suite, her fingers brushing across the polished dresser when her eyes caught the edge of a folded note beneath Damian's cufflinks. Curiosity battled dread as she opened it, the words bleeding fire into her chest. Bet sealed. Marriage complete. Her breath stuttered, her knees weakening beneath the weight of betrayal. No, she whispered, clutching the paper until it crumpled. Images of his smirk, his vows, his touch flashed like knives. She staggered to the mirror, staring at her reflection with hollow eyes. He played me. Just another prize. For the first time, the storm inside her cracked with grief instead of rage. Damian returned to the suite and found Imani standing stiff by the window, the note crushed in her palm. Her voice shook, cold as ice. Tell me this isn't true. He swallowed, stepping forward, guilt written across his features. Imani, listen. She spun on him, eyes blazing. You married me for a bet? My life, my dignity, a joke to you? Damian's voice cracked, pride splintering. It started that way, but it's not that anymore, I swear. Her laugh was sharp, bitter as broken glass. You don't get to rewrite the lie. The silence between them was louder than any scream. Later that night, Imani collapsed onto Tasha's couch, her body trembling though she fought to mask it. Tasha knelt beside her, voice low but fierce. He broke you, didn't he? Imani clenched her fists, whispering, He used me, just like the rest. Tasha brushed her hand gently across Imani's arm. Don't let his betrayal decide your worth. You've been fire long before him. Imani's tears finally fell, hot against her cheeks, and her voice cracked. Then why does it feel like I'm burning from the inside? Tasha's arms wrapped around her, pulling her close, holding her storm so it wouldn't destroy her. The following evening, Marcus strolled into the private dinner Damian had arranged, his grin slicing the air like a blade. Shall I make a toast to wagers and women too strong to be tamed? Imani's hand tightened around her glass, fury bubbling, while Damian's jaw clenched in silent rage. Marcus slid a folded document across the table, his voice smooth. Proof. The bet you thought she'd never find out. Imani's chest heaved as she stared at Damian, betrayal written across her trembling lips. Damian slammed his fist on the table, voice thundering. Enough, Marcus! But the truth already poisoned the air, too heavy to take back. Imani stood in the center of the suite, her chest heaving, eyes blazing like fire against storm clouds. She hurled the crumpled note at Damian's chest, her voice breaking with fury. You wagered my soul like it was pocket change. Damian caught the paper mid-air, his face tight with shame. It was a mistake, Imani. I didn't see you coming. She stepped closer, her finger jabbing into his chest. Don't you dare romanticize betrayal. You don't get to hurt me and call it love. Her voice cracked, pain shredding through the rage. For the first time, Damian's arrogance shattered, leaving only a man cornered by his own lies. Damian's voice rose, breaking under the weight of desperation. Yes, it began as a bet, but everything after was real. He stepped toward her, his hands outstretched as if begging for her touch. Imani recoiled, her laughter sharp and bitter. Real? Lies don't transform into love just because you feel guilty. He slammed his fist against the wall, the sound echoing like thunder. I'm not guilty, I'm haunted. You're the only thing that feels alive in this empty life. Her lips trembled, but she steeled herself. I'd rather drown alone than be your trophy. The air thickened with a tension too heavy to breathe. Tasha burst into the suite, her eyes darting between them. Enough, she shouted, voice cutting through the storm. Imani's tears brimmed as she snapped. He made me a bet, Tasha, a damn bet. Tasha's heart broke at the rawness in her friend's voice. She turned her glare on Damian. Do you even realize what you've done? You shattered a woman who already carried scars. Damian's shoulders sagged, his hands shaking. I love her. That's the truth now. Tasha's voice softened, but her stare didn't waver. Then love her enough to face what you are, a coward. Silence swallowed the room, heavy as grief. Damian stepped forward, his voice trembling with raw honesty. Yes, I was arrogant. Yes, I gambled. But when I looked into your eyes, the game ended. I fell, and I've been falling ever since. Imani's lips parted, her breath shaky, torn between fury and the truth buried in his tone. She shook her head, whispering, You don't get to confess now, not when the damage is done. Damian's eyes glistened, his chest rising and falling sharply. Then hate me, Imani. Break me. But don't walk away without knowing I'd burn every fortune to keep you. His voice cracked, raw and unguarded. Imani's body trembled as she tore her hand from his grasp, her voice raw with heartbreak. You don't love me, Damian. You love the challenge I represent. She turned toward the door, her heels clicking like gunshots on the floor. Damian's chest caved as he reached out, but his fingers only grasped air. Imani, please. His voice cracked, the sound of a man unraveling. She didn't look back, her defiance masking the devastation burning inside. The door slammed shut, leaving Damian in silence, his pride shattered into ash. He collapsed to his knees, whispering her name into the emptiness, as though it could call her back. Imani sat curled on the edge of her apartment couch, city lights flickering through the window. The silence pressed heavy, broken only by her shallow breaths. She replayed every word Damian had spoken, each one cutting deeper than the last. Her chest rose with a tremor as she whispered, Why does betrayal hurt more when it comes wrapped in love? She hugged a pillow tight, as though holding herself together. Her pride screamed to let go, yet her heart pulsed with memories of his eyes, his touch, his broken plea. She pressed her forehead into her hands, whispering, I should hate him. So why can't I? Across town, Damian sat in his vast mansion, whiskey glass untouched on the table. The grandeur of the room mocked him, every polished surface reflecting emptiness. His shoulders slumped as he muttered, What's the point of all this without her? His tie hung loose, his eyes hollow. He replayed her walking away, her defiance, her tears. His chest clenched as he whispered her name into the silence. Imani. For the first time, the empire he built with arrogance felt like a prison. He pressed his palms into his eyes, whispering, I'd trade it all if she'd believe me once. Tasha leaned against her kitchen counter, arms folded as Imani sat hunched at the table. Her tone was firm but caring. You're strong, Imani, but strength doesn't mean pretending you don't care. Imani's eyes lifted, rimmed with red. He broke me, Tasha, just like everyone else. Tasha sighed, brushing her braid back. Maybe. But I saw his face. That wasn't a man proud of his victory. That was a man gutted by his own mistake. Imani's lips trembled, her pride a shield slipping away. If I forgive him, I lose. If I don't, I lose him. Tasha whispered, maybe love isn't about winning. Damian stood outside Imani's apartment, the night air thick with unspoken words. His hand hovered over the door before he finally knocked. When she opened it, her eyes were guarded, her body tense. He lowered his gaze, his voice stripped of arrogance. I didn't come to win. I came to tell the truth. She folded her arms, silence daring him to continue. I was a fool, Imani. But I swear the moment I touched your hand, it stopped being a game. It became the only thing that mattered. Her breath shook, torn between fury and fragile hope. For a long moment, silence held them prisoner. Then, Imani's voice cracked as she whispered, Do you even know what you took from me? Damian's eyes glistened, his chest rising sharply. I know, and I'll never forgive myself. But if you let me, I'll spend forever trying to make it right. Her tears fell freely as she trembled, caught between fury and longing. Slowly, as if testing gravity, she let him step inside. Damian's breath hitched when she whispered, One chance, Damian. Don't make me regret it. Their eyes locked, and though wounds still bled, a fragile thread of hope began to form. Marcus appeared one last time, leaning in the doorway of Imani's apartment as Damian stood close to her. His smirk was venom. Hell break you again, Imani. Men like him don't change. Damian's fists clenched, his jaw tight. Leave her out of your poison, Marcus. Imani's eyes flashed, her voice cold as steel. You don't speak for me. Marcus stepped closer, lowering his tone. I speak for the truth. You'll regret letting him back in. Imani raised her chin, her defiance sharp. Regret is mine to carry, not yours to predict. Marcus's grin faltered as the door slammed shut in his face. Inside, the silence stretched as Imani turned toward Damian. Her voice was low, guarded. I don't trust you, not fully, not yet. Damian nodded, his eyes heavy with truth. I wouldn't, if I were you. She searched his face, seeing the cracks where pride once lived. Then why are you here? His reply came softly, almost broken. Because no matter how much I lose, I can't lose you. Her lips parted, breath trembling, torn between fear and the fragile hope his words carried. Damian stepped closer, his voice trembling with conviction. I don't ask for forgiveness tonight. I only ask for a chance to prove I'm not the man who started this. Imani's eyes flickered with conflict, her chest rising fast. Words don't heal wounds, Damian. They bleed until action closes them. He nodded slowly, his hand hovering but not touching her. Then I'll spend every day closing them, even if you never let me touch you again. Her lashes fluttered, tears threatening but held back. For the first time, his vulnerability eclipsed his arrogance, and she felt her walls begin to shake. The silence broke as Imani stepped into him, her lips trembling as she whispered, If you ruin me again, I'll burn us both to ash. Damian's chest rose sharply, his hand finally resting against her cheek. Then, let me burn, if it means loving you. Their lips met in a kiss, raw with desperation and pain, a collision of wounds and want. Tears mixed with heat as her fists tightened against his chest before slowly unraveling. His arms wrapped around her, not in triumph but in surrender, as though he knew love meant breaking and being broken in return. Later, as the night settled into silence, Imani lay in Damian's arms, her voice barely a whisper. You should know. No one ever touched me before you. Not truly. Damian froze, his breath catching as realization tore through him. His hand tightened gently around hers, his eyes wet with remorse. God, I bet on something sacred. Imani's gaze locked on his, steady yet fragile. Now you live with it, forever. The words hung like smoke in the dark, a truth that could never be erased. Damian's chest heaved as he buried his face into her curls, whispering her name like a prayer.